Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about the new Nomad palette, and I'm sure a lot of you have already seen people posting videos with this already, but I'm probably the last one, even though I'm posting the video the same day as everybody else. But I'm filming this the day that the video is going up, so we're going to be talking about this one, of course. Like I said, I'm sure you've already seen it. This is called the Ghost Town USA palette, and can I just say they killed it with the packaging on this. This is so cool. Like, I know they had a palette before with the same packaging, which was also like a haunted house. I don't know. I don't own that palette, but when I saw this packaging, I was like, yes, like you guys absolutely killed it. I think this is so cool. So we're gonna be doing 3 looks with this. I've already done 2, like I always do in these videos. We're gonna do 1 on camera, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on this palette. And guess what? I have thoughts because that is what I do. But we're just gonna go ahead and dig in. I'm of course going to show you some close-ups and some swatches. This palette is launching on the 29th at 9 p.m. PST, so pretty late at night. So yeah, I think that's all the information that you need to know before we actually go ahead and try out this palette and do some looks with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyes with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base like I always do, and I honestly don't really have a plan for today's look. I feel like I've already tested out most of the shades in this palette except for like some of the neutrals, which I know that's kind of boring to like be doing a neutral look with this palette, like especially as the look that I'm going to be showing you guys, but I do want to test out all the shades, and I think that it just kind of makes sense, I guess, because those are the ones that I haven't tested yet. I want to say the only shades I haven't really dipped into is this shade and this shade and these 3, which if you guys are new to my channel, I'm not really into like neutral shimmers. It's just not really something I'm drawn to. Like I love like, you know, deep brown mattes and stuff like that. But when it comes to shimmers, these aren't really the colors that I go for. So I'm not really exactly sure what it is that I want to do. I also could pull in some of these other shimmers and like just not try these. I think that would probably be okay as well. I think I'm gonna start with this brown, and what I'm thinking is, because I realized that I have these pearls that I bought on Amazon, that I kind of want to use some of those like on my eye today. So I think I want to do like a pearly sort of inner corner and then keep most of the shadows on the outer portion of my eye and kind of see how that works out. Not completely sure how that's gonna look, but that's gonna be the plan. So I'm gonna use a shade called Bandit Queen. And I'm just gonna start by packing a lot of that in the very outer corner of my eye. Again, I'm gonna keep most of the shadows on the outer portion of my lid. I'll probably do like a light shimmer just in the front, just to have something on the lid. But outside of that, I really just wanna do some of this matte shade just to get some definition in the outer portion. So really nothing fancy here at all. I'm basically just packing on a lot of this in the outer half of my lid as well as my outer corner and just blending it into my crease. I'm not going to take this all the way through, like I said. I just want to keep it in the outer part. Just making sure that when my eyes are open, I can see that shade so that with my hooded eyes, I don't completely lose it. But I really like the color of this brown. And I feel like a lot of people are going to love the tones in this palette. I feel like for me, it's not my favorite color story, but I also just don't feel like some of these tones look that good on me. Like that has nothing to do with the palette at all. And like I said, I think a lot of people are going to absolutely love it, but I feel like some of these murky tones just don't really go with my style and my personality and the way that I dress and such, unless I'm wearing just, you know, like black like I'm wearing today. But I've had absolutely no issues with any of the formulas in this. I've honestly had a really, really good time playing with this palette. Haven't experienced any hard pan or anything like that with any of the shades, which is nice because I feel like with some of the last Nomad palettes, I'm trying to look for my glitter primer. There's been a couple of shimmers in like each of the palettes that they've come out with that have just been like too hard pressed, or they've had hard pan, and just I haven't had the best time with them. But with this palette, I have had absolutely no issues, like I said, and I think that everything performs so nicely. I would say, if anything, the shimmers are much creamier than they've been before, which I prefer that, and I also haven't had any creasing or anything like that with them. So far I'm giving this palette a huge thumbs up because, like I said, I've had a really good time with it. So I think I'm just gonna take some of this shade on my lid. am I gonna leave some room in the inner portion? Maybe. I just want to see kind of how this looks. I don't remember if I've used this shade before. Okay, I don't think I've used this shade before because I would have remembered it on the eyes if I had. So it's very much just like a, is it a champagne shade? I would say it's kind of like a darker champagne. It's not quite a bronze or anything like that. And it's got a little bit of sparkle to it. It's not the most sparkly shade, but it's very pretty if you're someone who likes very simple looks like what I'm doing today. I think that you would really like this. So as you can tell, I'm really not doing anything fancy with this. I really want those kind of pearls to be the star of the show in this look, and maybe it would have looked better if I had a cool tone on my lid, but I couldn't really find a cool tone shimmer in this palette that was light enough for what I was going for, and I also hadn't tested this shade, so this is just kind of what we're doing, and we'll see how it turns out. I do like sometimes doing, you know, simpler looks on camera as well, because I know not everybody likes to do fancy looks, and honestly I feel like for the most part my looks are pretty simple. Like, I don't really do a lot of intricate things. So I feel like most of my looks are pretty, you know, recreatable. Is that a word? I hope so. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that brown shade and just make sure that I have it as dark as I'm able to get this shade on the outer corner. I could deepen it up with the darkest of the browns if I wanted to, but I think I'm just gonna keep it to this one and have it be a little bit more of a softer look than what I would normally go for. I'm gonna take a bit of this shade underneath my eye as well. I'm just gonna take a small kind of flat brush and just make sure I connect that on the lower lash line. And of course, if you're not extra like I am, you can absolutely just stop here and put on some mascara and be out the door. But I'm gonna spice this up because that is what I like doing with neutral looks, because I feel like it just, I don't know, it just makes them more fun. So let's see, am I happy with the blend here? I want to make sure that everything is the way that I want it to be before I go in with the pearls, but I think this is looking good. I can always go in and fix things a little bit after. So I'm gonna pull out some of these. I can link these down below. I bought these on Amazon. Not sure exactly which ones I'm gonna use, probably some of the smaller ones. So like the easiest way to apply these is just to use a lash glue. And I like using one that has one of these applicators on it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put some glue down where it is that I want them to be. I'm just gonna start with like one on each side so that they end up being symmetrical. I'm sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. And I probably should have done my eyeliner before doing this, but here we are. And I'm gonna use one of these tools, which I can link this down below as well. It's just gonna make it easier to pick up the pearls. And I'm just putting it right on top of where I put down that lash glue. And then I'm just going to basically build around this, and I'm gonna do just a couple of smaller ones right next to this one. Are they even? Not completely, but that never happens anyway. So I'm gonna put one here as well. It's gonna be a little bit of a larger one. And I'm also gonna do a little one right here. I feel like there is not really any rhyme or reason to where I'm putting these. It's just kind of what I feel like. And as long as you get them pretty even on each side, it's gonna look good. It might also look crazy, I'm not really sure, but I think this is where I'm going to leave it. I think this is so cute. Is pearls gonna become like my new thing to put on my eyes? I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put on some lashes and a little bit of liquid liner or something in my waterline. I'll come back, I'll show you the other two looks and give you my review on this palette. The look is done, and I did put a little bit of white just in the front portion, sort of on my lower lash line. I'm using the white one from JD Glow. I really like this one. This is a good color. This is a good applicator. This is like the good formula. So yeah, I really like this look. I think it turned out really, really pretty. And I think that despite it being a neutral look, like it's still a little different and a little fun, and just, it's not boring, you know? And you guys know me, like I find all neutral looks to be kind of boring unless you kind of do a little bit of something with them. And I feel like this is more me, and I think it's really, really pretty. So I'm gonna show you the other looks that I have done with this palette so you can get a little bit more inspiration. For the first one, I wanted to do something on the blue side because what I was wearing was going to be blue and I was going on a date night that night and I sort of wanted my look to go with the outfit that I had already planned out, so that's sort of why that look ended up being the way it was, but I really like the way it turned out and everything performed really well. I didn't have any issues with anything. When I first put the blue shimmer on my lid, it was very, very creamy, and I noticed that when I swatched it as well, like it was almost a little too creamy for what I was used to from Nomad, so it threw me off a little bit. I was like, uh-oh, is this going to crease? Is this going to wear well? And honestly, it wore well like all day, the rest of the night too, so I didn't have any issues at all with that shade despite it being very creamy. So I think that since I do have pretty oily eyes and I do have hooded lids, I don't think this formula will crease on most of you unless you're just really unlucky, or maybe the primer that you use just, I don't know, is more prone to creasing, but I didn't have any creasing with that look at all. And for the second look, I really wanted to just test out a lot of the shades in the palette just to get an idea of how I really felt about the formula. But again, I had no issues. Everything built really nicely. Everything blended nicely. Shimmers wore beautifully. I think that this is honestly one of the best quality palettes that I have from Nomad. I don't think it's going to become my favorite though, just because like I said, the color story isn't really what like me as a person and my personality and my style is drawn to. Some of them I really like I actually really like the neutral row, but like the greens and the blues, the tones of them are just not really what I'm personally into, even though I think the palette is really good quality. And if you like this color story, you're going to love this. Like this is really nice and I would highly recommend it if you think that you would like the color story. I also think the shimmers in here are beautiful. They're really nice and sparkly and foiled, and yeah, I don't really have any bad things to say about them. So those are going to sort of be my thoughts on the palette. Like I said, I think if you like the color story, you're gonna love this palette. And also the packaging is just so cool. Like this is probably my favorite packaging that I have for Nomad. I think this is just, like I could stare at this all day. And I pretty much did when I opened the package. I was like, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. It's just so cool. So yeah, those are going to be my thoughts. Let me know if you plan on picking up this palette. I would love to hear about it. If you want to see some more Nomad videos, I will put my playlist up on the screen. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.